Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my next video. Today we have got another Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 Prestige class for you. And today, from the Complete Warrior, we have got the Frenzied Berserker. Boom. So, the Frenzied Berserker. Well, let's talk about her. So, the Frenzied Berserker, interesting prestige class. So we're going to go over what they are. We're going to go over how to become one. We're going to go over what you get as a Frenzied Berserker. And then we're going to go over how good they are, how they work in a build, as well as some RP aspects of them. Because they're definitely one of the most flavorful prestige classes out there. So, alright, let's get started. So first off, what is the Frenzied Berserker? To put it simply, they're a barbarian that just craves battle. They love fighting. Like, most adventurers, they'll fight and they don't mind it, and they go out and they fight for whatever reason, to gather loot, or to save the world, or whatever reason it might just be. These guys, that's not their reason. The Frenzied Berserker, they fight for the sake of fighting. They're like, yeah, fight, heck yeah. They seek battle. They love the thrill of fight, the clash of swords, the risk of death, the chance to take someone else's life. Like, these are things that they just love. These guys, they just love the thick of battle, and they seek it out. They will actively seek out conflict. The evil Frenzied Berserkers are just gonna, go out and rampantly destroy whatever they can, just constantly on the search for more destruction, whereas, there are good Frenzied Berserkers, and they will typically seek out positions of defense. They'll seek out areas that are commonly attacked and volunteer to be guards there in order to, protect these areas. Because they do like the protecting it, although they really just love fighting. A Frenzied Berserker, regardless of alignment, is going to be seeking combat one way or another. Whether it's actively attacking things or throwing themselves on the front lines in areas that are frequently attacked. They're going to be off fighting a lot. Sometimes they lead bands of warriors. Other times you're going to see them as loners. And loners make some sense for some of the class features. To some extent, they are kind of better off alone. But anyways, that's it for really what they are. They're terrifying. But yeah, let's get into what it takes to become a Frenzied Berserker. It's honestly not that hard. So you need to be any non-lawful, same as a barbarian. You kind of need barbarian in order to get in this, pretty much. You need a base attack bonus of +6. Not terrible. You need a few feats. So you need Cleave, Destructive Rage, Intimidating Rage, and Power Attack. Some feats, Cleave and Power Attack are ones you're going to want anyways for this build. So that's not really something too much. But Destructive Rage and Intimidating Rage, those are ones you're going to have to pick up. You're going to have to find a way to, you may or may not be using those ones a whole lot. So that's really all it takes to become a Frenzied Berserker. It's pretty simple, in all honesty. Let's get into what they get, because this is where it starts getting interesting. They get a D12 hit dice, pretty standard for a barbarian prestige. These guys are very much a barbarian prestige. They have a good base attack. They have a good fortitude, but a bad reflex and will save. All right. They get only 2 skill points, 2+ int for skills. Their skill list is kind of bad. Just your basic barbarian stuff like Intimidate, Jump, mostly just your strength-based stuff, plus like Ride, and Intimidate, of course. Not too great on skills. But let's get into what they get as special abilities, because some of these are insane. First off, they get Frenzy, which is kind of their main class feature. So Frenzy, it's similar to Rage. It gives you initially a +6 to attack, or not to attack, to your strength, although it is going to give you a -4 penalty to AC. So that's kind of bad. You're also going to take 2 points of non-lethal damage for every round you are in Frenzy. Your Frenzy will last for a number of rounds equal to your was it con modifier plus like 3 or so, plus 3? Yeah, 3 plus con. That's how long it'll last, which will generally be a while. And of course, this does stack with Rage. So, if you're getting a con bonus from your Rage, that would also stack on this to make that a little higher. Now, at first level, so basically, there's a few things with Frenzy, though. Frenzy is one that it's going to take a minute to explain because there's a lot to it. So Frenzy can be ended with a DC 20 will save before that, which is important because Frenzy's got some drawbacks. It's got some nice buffs, but it's got some drawbacks, some pretty serious ones. So while in Frenzy, you are not able to make any Dex, Int, or Charisma-based skill other than Intimidate. Intimidate is an exception. You also can't use Concentration or anything that requires any sort of skill that would require you to concentrate or would require patience. Because when you're in Frenzy, you are basically in a bloodlust. Like, you're straight up determined to fight, and you don't have patience for anything. You also are not able to use a number of feats like meta magic feats, item creation feats. Meta magic feats, are often used in combat, but generally you rarely see spellcasters become Frenzied Berserkers, so it's not really relevant. Item creation feats, it's not like you're going to be, crafting magic item in combat. Plus, it's pretty rare for Frenzied Berserkers to take that stuff anyways. Let's see. You are able to, during Frenzy, you have to attack every turn. You can't just be like, you know what, I'm just going to sit out this round. No, you're finding an enemy and you're taking it down. You are going to the best of your ability, defeat anything you consider an enemy. But if there are no enemies, then you're still going to fight. So once the enemies are done, you're going to turn on your friends, and you're just going to start attacking the closest thing to you, to the best of your ability. And you don't really have a choice. Now, of course, you can make your will save in order to end it, but you may not want to do that for reasons we'll get into in a bit. Frenzied Berserker will turn on their foe, can very easily turn on their friends after the combat's over. One of the biggest downsides to them. For this reason, you really, really need to consult your party before becoming a Frenzied Berserker. Now, Frenzied Berserker also is activated as a free action. It can only be done on your turn, though. However, should you have taken damage since your last turn, you'll have to make a will save equal to 10 plus the damage you took, or else be forced into a frenzy. So that's not great. Now you also get, assuming you have frenzies, so your frenzies is going to be equal. You get one at first level, and then you get another one at every odd level. So eventually you'll have 5 of them. And you cannot use 2 in the same combat. So that's something. By the way, they're probably going to last for quite a while because your con's probably going to be really good. So during the frenzy, so you could potentially get forced into a frenzy because, like, you took a small amount of damage. That could potentially force you into a frenzy. I've seen it almost happen before, where a frenzied berserker that was in my party, while I was the DM, he took some damage in the middle of town, doing something stupid, and had to make a will saver. Else he would have flown into a frenzy and started attacking random civilians, which would have been bad. He ended up making the will save, but still. So there's also some problems when the frenzy ends. So of course you're taking those 2 points of non-lethal every turn, but you're also going to take a -2 to strength and dex afterwards, and be fatigued. And if you're in rage when you end, you won't take the penalties yet. So these penalties, so rage will prevent the penalties from happening. However, once rage ends, you're going to be exhausted, not just fatigued. So that's pretty bad. So yeah, Frenzy's absolutely nuts. Yeah, but you know, +6 to strength is pretty good. And that does stack with rage, so you can get your strength pretty crazy high. So yeah, that's not really the best thing that these guys get, though. That's coming up. So next up, you get Supreme Cleave. Supreme Cleave means you get a second level, and it allows you to take a 5-foot step between cleaves. So you can still only get one 5-foot step a turn, but if you're using Cleave and you haven't taken a 5-foot step yet, you can take your 5-foot step and then attack an enemy with the Cleave effect. So that works, and that would work with Great Cleave as well. So yeah, if you happen to have Great Cleave, which you probably should, in all honesty, if you're being a Frenzied Berserker, yeah, you can take out enemies pretty quick. The next one is one that's rather interesting, and it's the reason why you might not want to end your frenzy after the fight's over, and that is Deathless Frenzy. So at 4th level, a Frenzied Berserker gains Deathless Frenzy, which will allow them to, well, fight in frenzy so basically it'll make it so that while in frenzy, they are immune to death from excess damage. So you can still get killed by things like disintegrate and death effects and even excessive damage. You still have to make your saving throws, and you can die from, or not excessive, massive damage. So if you take if you take a blow that does over half of your maximum hit points, you generally will have to make a saving throw or die. So they can still die from that, but with the fact that this build is going to have ridiculously high health, one of the highest in the game, that's not going to come up a whole lot. And there is no limit to how low your health can get. I have seen players get down to like -400 or 500 health and still be fighting as a Frenzied Berserker. It is absolutely insane. Oh, and I forgot at 1st level they also get the Die Hard feat, so that's kind of cool. But anyways, yeah, Deathless Frenzy is absolutely nuts. Now, when Frenzy ends, you still take the penalties from it, so you could still potentially die from it. And you're not going to be taking an extra point of damage every turn from being at below 0 health. So you won't take a point of damage from that. You still take 2 points of non-lethal every turn from being in Frenzy, but you will not take a point of lethal damage every turn from being at below 0. So that's not bad. Very, very crazy. Now, the reason why you might not want to end Frenzy when combat is over is you might be well below negative health, and you might be relying on somebody healing you so that you can end Frenzy without dying. Now, if that's the case, and I've seen this happen a lot, you end up in some crazy situations where the healer has to try and heal you without getting killed by you. So you're trying to kill the healer while the healer's trying to cure you so you don't die. It's an absolutely insane situation. I've seen it many times. There, of course, are ways to deal with that. Things like grease can easily put a Frenzied Berserker, make them far less useful, since that does require a balance check, which they are not able to make. because Frenzy doesn't allow them to make dex-based checks. So yeah, they can be stopped fairly easily with something like that. Yeah, now we get to the thing that one of the things that really makes this prestige class good, and that is improved power attack. Now, improved power attack basically lets you power attack for effectively 1.5 times the damage that you would normally get. So every time you power attack for 2 with a one-handed weapon, instead of getting 2 back, you'll get 3 back. And anytime you power attack for 1 with a two-handed weapon, you'll get 3 back. So you'll trade them 3 to 1 with a two-handed weapon, and you get it at 3 halves bonus. So with a one-handed, which is really, really nice. Yeah, that extra damage, like, instead of getting 40 extra damage for trading 20 power attack, trading 20 attack with a two-handed weapon, you'd get 60, which is nice. Yeah. You also get Inspired Frenzy, which is probably one of their worst abilities in my opinion. Basically, a number of times per day, starting 1, and then you can do it more as you level up. You can inspire those around you to enter a frenzy, and it will last based off your Constitution modifier. So that's kind of cool, but I find generally your allies don't want you to do that. So it's kind of a wasted ability for the most part. It can be cool, but I haven't seen a lot of instances where it comes up. Now, Greater Frenzy's not bad. That just makes it so your strength bonus goes to a 10 instead of a 6. So you get 4 more strength while frenzied. That's it. Pretty simple. There's nothing really to explain with that one. Now for the real good thing with that. Supreme Power Attack. It's kind of like Improved Power Attack, but it's better. So now when you power attack, instead of power attacking as per normal, you trade 1 to 1 on one-handed and 2 to 1 with a two-handed weapon. No, now you trade 2 to 1 with a one-handed. So if you trade 5 attack with a one-handed weapon, you're getting 10 extra damage. And if you do that with a two-handed weapon, you're getting 20 extra damage. So effectively, you can trade 20 attack for 80 damage with your two-handed weapons at 20th level, which is absolutely insane. It's nuts. 80 extra damage is a lot. Plus, we're talking about, and that's just from power attack. We're not even talking about the damage from the weapon. We're not talking about the damage that you could do from strength, which would be quite a lot. Assuming you're combining rage and frenzy, it's going to hit hard. You're gonna absolutely you're gonna do a ton of damage, and it's gonna be absolutely insane. And yeah, that's by far the best feature they get. You also get Tireless Frenzy at 10th level, which will make it so that when they end their frenzy, they no longer take that penalty to strength and dex, and they no longer become fatigued after. But you still will take 2 points of non-lethal damage for every round that you are in frenzy, which more often than not is going to be somewhat irrelevant, because it doesn't. It's not really going to hit until after combat, anyways. Like you're not going to get knocked out mid combat because of it. So yeah, you'll continue to fight. Like there's just a good chance, like if for some reason you're not particularly hurt and you didn't take any healing for like Deathless Frenzy, you could end up, as soon as you end Frenzy, going unconscious. But really, for the most part, yeah, that non-lethal isn't a huge deal. Yeah. So that's really it for the Frenzied Berserker in terms of what they get. Now, are they a good prestige class? Well, that's a great question. So they are and they aren't. These guys are absolutely terrifying. to both friend and foe alike, which is the big problem with this prestige class. And that is that they not only are going to just absolutely destroy the enemy, but they could very easily destroy friends once the fight's over. Fights that involve Frenzied Berserkers often, like when I have Frenzied Berserkers in my party, the fight usually doesn't end when the last of the enemies dies. It ends once the Frenzied Berserker ends his frenzy, because, well, that Frenzied Berserker is absolutely insane, and they're going to keep attacking and fighting. Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. So yeah, that's a thing that you got to watch out for. Yeah. On top of that, yeah, the fact that that your party's going to have to really watch their back, like they're going to have to come up with a strategy to deal with you. So before you take this, you really, really, really need to make sure that the other guys on the party are cool with it. You don't need to worry so much about the DM being cool with it. It's more you need to worry about the party being cool with it, because they're the ones who are going to have to deal with you. And you got to make sure that they're ready for that. Because if they're not, that's a problem. And it's really just not fair to them. And they're going to get mad, and they might not be happy when you end up killing them after combat. Like, it can be an issue. So make sure that the party understands the risks, and that you might kill them, and that they try and take measures to mitigate those risks and come up with some strategies to deal with you after the fight. Yeah, but it's a really strong class. That extra bonus to strength isn't bad. The real strength comes with that power attack. There are various ways to deal with that. Like some options are, if you don't even care about the frenzy part, to just to just use up all the frenzies and just rely on the extra power attack, which isn't bad. You could definitely use up those frenzies early in the day, but they definitely have their use, so maybe not the best option. It's definitely. I know my party, when we had a Frenzied Berserker, they used the Grease spell in order to neutralize him after combat. The enemy hadn't caught on to that one, so yeah, I really should have thrown some enemies that dealt with that better at him, but oh well, he's no longer in the party. Another major weakness is our Frenzied Berserker actually ended up dying to the spell Calm Emotions, which is absolutely hilarious. Because if the Frenzied Berserker is at below negative 10 HP, and then gets hit with Calm Emotions and fails the will save, their frenzy is forced to end, and they die. Because they no longer have they no longer benefit from Deathless Frenzy because they're not in frenzy, and therefore they die. So I've seen that happen. It's the most hilarious way I've ever seen a character die is from Calm Emotions. But yeah, it's definitely a worthwhile prestige class. It's really, really strong. It's super nasty. So yeah, definitely worth it. I'm curious what you guys think, though, so leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about the Frenzied Berserker. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. Maybe subscribe to the channel for more D&D 3.5 videos. We do one of these on every single class, race, and prestige class in D&D 3.5, so definitely don't want to miss out on that. Maybe ring that notification bell so you never miss out on a video. And as always, I'm Mitch, and I'll be seeing you.